2023 marks the 30th anniversary of Parklands care homes in the north of Scotland. As part of their celebrations, I was asked to produce this series of podcasts called Carecast. I'm Penny Latin-Stewart and I'm a producer and presenter, and I've made many documentaries about all manner of subjects over the years. But I'll be honest, I wasn't quite sure what to expect from making Carecast. Like lots of us, I'm probably a bit scared of getting old. And I also have quite a lot of preconceived ideas about what a care home is like. Meeting Ron Taylor, Managing Director of Parklands, who started the company all those years ago, and his team of extraordinarily dedicated and passionate staff has been a true eye-opener, and at times really emotional. Over the course of this series, we'll go behind the scenes to look at what excellence in care and working hand in hand with the local community means in practice. We'll hear from Parklands staff about what inspires them to care. We'll talk to the remarkable people they care for. And we'll also be casting ahead to consider what the future of care will look like in this award-winning, innovative and inspirational company. I hope you're going to enjoy stepping through the doors of Parklands as much as I have. So let's kick off with a tour of one of the homes in the company of Ron Taylor.
So welcome to Linemore Care Home. This is the home we built in Grantown in 2018. It's a 40-bedded care home based on a wing concept of each wing is no more than 10 beds. Each wing has its own separate dining area and lounge area, and the rooms are set back from the corridor. Each wing is named after a distillery. My grandfather was a distillery manager, and each wing is named after the 4 distilleries that he managed in his life. So I think this one's Cragganmore, which is the one just down in Speyside here. I left university when I was 22, and at that point my grandfather, he was the father I never had. My father died when I was very young, so I was more or less brought up by my grandparents, and my father was very close to me in particular, so I decided that rather than find a job I would go and care for him. So I cared for him for 9 months and did things as a 21-year-old or 22-year-old I never thought I would do. But it was during those formative times I thought, you know, if I ever got the opportunity to get into the care business, I'd want to make sure that the care I gave him is the care that each and every one of our residents gets. Hello Linda, how are you?
Oh, hello Ron, yes.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Thanks for the gifts.
You're very welcome. You're
Yes.
very welcome.
Was it a hot?
Well, I wasn't actually there. I wasn't allowed to go. That was just Elaine and Ellie.
It was,
Yeah.
it was Elaine and Ellie,
They went
that's
away.
right.
They went away to New York for 5 days on their own. Girls only. It's Ellie's Elaine's daughter. So when they came back, I think they brought her t-shirts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wasn't allowed to go.
Okay.
No.
No, you weren't allowed to go?
No.
Oh, well, you'll need to get amends type together.
Well, I am. Amends. Well, as you see, I know they went away themselves because I'm going away to Alaska fishing.
My sister Winnie stays in Alaska.
Oh, really? I have to give her address. I'll look her up.
We don't speak.
Oh, maybe not then.
Okay.
Nice to see you.
Yes,
Bye.
nice to see you.
Bye.
But what were you reading at university? Was there ambition to
No,
go into care, or
not
was
at
this
all.
completely left field?
Not at all, not at all. I did a degree in business studies, and it's something I knew nothing about, but clearly having faced the front line with things that had to be done, care that needed to be done, etc., you just muddle your way through. Then time moved on. I did get a job. I worked with Unigate for a few years, and then I came back to. I always wanted to live in the northeast. I went to school in Buckie, and it was very important that I wanted to live my life in the area where I grew up. I mean, my passion is fishing. I enjoy skiing, etc. The outdoor life was very important. So I thought, well, I don't really want to see myself in a city environment. I want to live and settle in this rural area. So I came back from Unigate, and I joined my mother, who had a newsagent in Buckie. And I worked with her for 7 years. Now, in those days, newsagent was the only source of communication, as it were. So there were 2 newsagents in Buckie. And if you needed information, you had to go and get the written word. There was no computers, there was no emails, there was nothing. And I always remember on a Saturday night, they had a thing called a Green Final, which was a sports paper which came out on a Saturday night. And on a Saturday night, I used to find myself outside the local bingo hall selling these papers, and I made a fortune. every Saturday with the tips that you got, etc. on the Saturday. So that kind of inspired me to think, I want to start my own business here. I can do this. So we sold the business. My mother retired and we sold the business to John Menzies, who thought it was quite a good thing to do. And then from my share of the money from that, I decided to open a care home. Now, armed with the information and the care that I'd given my grandfather, I needed to find out how I could do this. So once we sold the newsagent, I was appointed as the chief executive of Moray Enterprise Trust, which was a company that was set up by the Thatcher era at the same time as the local health trusts were set up to help with economic development. So my role was really to help, or the Moray Enterprise Trust role was very much looking at the growing small business, starting new business and looking for inward investment into the Moray area. So I kind of knew where the pockets of funding were to look at Buckie as a care home facility. At the same time, I became very friendly with 2 or 3 of the local GPs in Buckie. And we identified some land outside the town boundary in a park, and hence the name Parklands. So I set up a company with some of the local GPs, and I wrote the business plan, got all the funding together, and we opened our first one in 1993. Well, good morning, Shirley. Good morning, Jackie. How are we today?
All right, yeah.
Good. So we're looking at care plans. So just to recap them, we had all our staff away last week looking at care plans. We felt this is probably the biggest single area that we need to invest in moving forward. So what was the outcome of the training, Jackie?
So today we're looking at the care plans, taking out the COVID care plans, because obviously that's something that we've got to put in the past and move forward. We're looking at creating meaningful connection care plans.
What's that mean?
So basically it's making sure that the residents have things that are important to them, like people that are important to them,
Right.
that they've got a care plan that we can relate to, to make sure that we can carry this forward for them.
How they keep in contact, what form that takes, whether it be talking to people on the phone or having a visit with people within the care home or writing a letter or FaceTime has become quite a popular thing obviously during COVID.
Sure.
And just about the things that are really important to them, maintaining their general well-being and just their feeling of value and maintaining connections with everybody.
So you had your business plan and the funding and a business vision.
Yeah.
What was the more personal vision? What was it you were taking from that caring for your granddad that you wanted to bring, and what did you wanted it to look like from a care perspective?
I think it was quite clear that I knew we could do this better. The system was flawed. There weren't the facilities required to cater for people who were getting older. They weren't ill, they were just old and in need of care. And I think the unique selling point for me was that there's a gap in the market here to identify an ageing population. And it's quite funny, actually, quite ironic that when we built Parkland, there's a lot of local hostility towards it because many people thought it was like a private hospital and the local community hospital was going to close. And this is, something that was set up by the private sector. People would have to pay for the healthcare. It was completely untrue, and one or two of the local councillors also held that view. But it's quite clear that this was nothing to do with the local hospital. This was for older people who were in need of care in their twilight years.
And what kind of care? What was your ethos regarding care in particular?
Well, if I looked towards my own example, my own experience with my grandfather, he was 84. He was very much a sound mind, but he had gone off his legs, as it were, and just couldn't cope. His mobility was a bit of a problem. But the sad thing was, he was still with us. He was still there. He just needed help. And in those days, there weren't hoists available. There were issues with incontinence as well. I felt the incontinence products were very poor. The help from the medical profession was very poor. And I thought there are so many gaps in the market here that this could be done far, far better. And I think from the conversations I had with the 3 GPs that we set up the company with, they too felt there was a huge gap in the market missing for people who are ageing. And I think, in the last 30 years, it's incredible. There's the Beatles song, "Will You Still Need Me? Will You Still Feed Me When I'm 64? Well, I'm 64 now, and that's the thing. And I like to think I've got another 20 years in front of me, at least 20 years. And I think most people do as well. I still think I'm 17 in my brain. My body tells me differently, but I still feel I'm 17. I think that's important as well.
So to take the idea of park and growing in a park, from acorns... Yeah. We get oaks. How did that all grow? How did it go from the very beginning?
So we opened Parklands in 1993. We formed a limited company with the local GPs, and it went very well. In many ways, the GPs gave it credibility because it's therefore saying that we've identified a medical need in the community, and that these guys they could see on a day-to-day basis. It filled almost immediately. But a year later, our regulator, the Care Commission, as they were then, took a very dim view of GPs having a financial stake in a care home to which they were referring. So in 1994, they sold the shares out, and then I bought them back. So it was sort of a solo run from then on in. I think Parklands in Bucket, we'd built a reputation. I knew exactly how we should deliver although I didn't have a health background. And I think that's quite important as well. It was very intuitive. And a lot of the girls had never worked in care either. So this is new for them. I said, well, look, just go with it. Go have fun. These lovely people who have led fantastic lives are going to come in. Their joy, their smiles, their stories, etc. All we need to do is make their life a bit brighter every day.
Right, one more time.
Ron, tell me a bit about the decor of the care homes and the art, because
Right.
I have noticed both in walking around, but also in the office when we were talking, the art's really quite striking. So what's the whole thinking behind how the places look?
It's very much part of the image we want to create. When residents or their relatives come in, what we want to do is create the wow factor in the reception area. We wanted to tell people, look, this is what we do, and we've got contemporary art on the walls, which is very important. All the corridors are quite wide, so they are kind of rooms in themselves. We have chairs in the corridors here. People can stop and look at the artwork. This is Gelomo pieces. Each one is different. We've got some individual paintings of Granton and the surrounding areas. And it's very important that it creates a discussion, it creates a conversation, if nothing else. You'll also notice that there are no Zimmers, there's no wheelchairs, and there's no hoists anywhere near the reception area. People don't like to be reminded of their infirmity, so they are hidden away in specific areas, and they are used, and indeed when we need to use them, it's the formal bits, but yet the informality is at the front. In 1993, we sat down and we came up with 4 values, company values, and these values are just as relevant today as they were in 1993. And it's all about working together. It's very important. We have fun. But when you swing your legs out of bed in the morning, you go to work, you think, yeah, I look forward to going to work today. Working together, a good place to work is important, but also professionalism, and the 4th one is respect and trust. So we still use these 4 values, and it's very open and transparent. Everybody knows what we stand for, and that's it. And we use these values in our supervisions, our appraisals, etc. So all the staff can always relate back to how we started and what we stand for. So when people come in, we offer them the chance, and we have 4 mood boards, so we can change the curtains, change the bed, and change the chairs to reflect the colours that they want. So there are 4 choices as well. So it makes it more individual for them. And each bathroom has its own. It's effectively a wet room. So it's in 2023, it's what people are looking for. What we find now is a lot of people are not only looking for en-suites, but they're looking for CAD6 cabling in the rooms. And I thought, what the hell's CAD6 cabling? And it's all about the digital transformation. They don't want to watch Homes Under the Hammer anymore. They want to watch box sets. They want to watch The Crown and stuff like that. As things move on, it's incredible. Older people are becoming far more discerning now than they ever were before.
Looking through the window, the gardens are looking fabulous at the moment. The Montbretia is just fiery red, loads of purple from the lavender. And is that a farm shop you've got at the back there?
Yes, it is. It is. We opened a shop, so it's like a destination, if you like. So the residents can go out and get toiletries and sweeties, etc., and pay for them as they would normally do in any other shop, and then just take them home again. And a day like today, for example, we hopefully will open that in the afternoon, so people can go out and enjoy the afternoon, get something to eat, have a sweetie and a cup of tea and a home bake, and then maybe go home again back to their room or their wing, as it were, so to speak. So we opened in 1993 and we stabilised, and then in 1997 the Moray Council put out a press release to say that they wanted to sell 3 of their own homes. They wanted to restructure how they operated social care, and they put out a tender for sale. So we started, we bought into the tender, as it were, and in 2000 we were chosen as the preferred contractor for Murray County to take over 3 homes, one in Bucket, one in Keith and one in Aberlour. Now that was probably our biggest pivotal moment, in the sense that here we were now taking over a company 3 times bigger than ourselves. You know, there's lots of squeaky bum moments, I can tell you. But we had to sit down and say, well, how can we do this? And it was even, a lot of people thought you couldn't do it, because here we were taking 3 homes operated in the public sector, coming into the private sector. But one of the things we do very well. We operate in small rural communities. We know how they work. And the values, the attitudes, the needs, the expectations in these rural communities are just the same. So by sitting down with the staff and saying to them, look, we can only do this with your mutual consent. And this is what we want to do, and this is how we want to do it. And it worked. A lot of the things that we thought we couldn't do, we did do with their consent and jointly. And it's working very well for us today.
That initial idea of, I just want to care for people the way my granddad needed to be cared for.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to hold on to that when suddenly you were going to be 4 times the size?
Actually, no. That was the easiest part. Our raison d'etre, as it were, to provide good care. Person-centred, good care, and that's it. Always, first and last. And I think, like anything else, if you get that right in any other business, you know what you're doing, the rest should follow. You know, the business side of it should follow. We've always kept the business side on the back burner, simply because cash and care don't go well together. But sadly, you know, over the last couple of years in particular, they are at the forefront. And we see the way the NHS is run as well. It's all about budgets, etc., putting the appropriate amount of facilities and sort of money in the right place at the right time. So getting back to your point, it's all about the care that we deliver on a day-to-day basis. We get that right, everything else would follow.
Business or cash and care is
contentious.
It's a difficult combination.
Yeah.
So I'm interested, as a businessman, which you clearly are, how did you define success? What did you set out as being your successful parameters for Parklands from the get-go? Because it might have been about money, but actually, as we've heard from the get-go for you, it was about care.
Yeah. We sat down and we've drawn out a plan on a page, and this is our dashboard about the key areas of success, and they're all about delivering the care. I think the care develops a reputation, develops a talking point, etc., and it's a very emotive subject. A lot of people, even now, 30 years later, people entering the care sector for the first time, or having to put their mum or their dad into care, it's an absolute minefield. Having the tools to provide good care, that's the starting point, because that's what attracts people in. It's not the fact that we have a nice home, it's very important to develop our facilities, but it's the people that are there, and you can see it. And each and every one of them is an ambassador for Parklands in these small rural communities, in the local pubs, at the weekends, etc. They can identify with us and with our brand. And it's very humbling, actually, to be quite honest.
One thing that struck me listening to you, Ron, is that I think a lot of us can fear ageing. We fear seeing age in our loved ones, and we fear it in ourselves. I'm really interested that as that 21-year-old, you didn't fear it, you stepped towards it and embraced it. And it sounds like actually there was a lot of really rewarding stuff for you in taking that care with your granddad. It was actually really special.
It's funny sitting there. I didn't know until we had these moments together, sitting down there. He went away at 17 in the First World War, was wounded twice in France, etc., and came back. These are things I never knew about him. And you think, wow, gee whiz. He was, and it's some of the stories and the things he did in his life. And you see that replicated in all of our residents. I remember we had one resident, probably 2-3 years ago, who was the first front page Vogue model in 1923. But she must have been an absolute stunner in her day. It's incredible. And this particular lady, everybody has their own personalities. This particular lady wanted a room to live in and a room to paint in, so we gave her 2 rooms. But she kept her bedroom at -2 on the belief that as the fridge slows down bacterial decay, she thought if she kept her room at -2, that would slow down her and extend her life. It didn't. But she did live to about the late 90s, I think it was. So, but all these people,
it might have done that.
You never know. You never know. So everybody has a story. Everybody has a backstory about what they've done, and it's fascinating. Some people have been in MI5, MI6. You think, My God, good for you. And it's fascinating just to sit down and hear these people tell the stories about what they've done.
Hello, I'm Mr. Lawrence McLean. I'm 84 years old. I'm an Aberdonian by birth, an ex-military man, and I've been around the world quite a bit, Aden and Singapore, where unfortunately I contracted poliomyelitis, and that put an end to really being able to walk at all. However, I did recover a bit, and I'm a musician basically all the way since I've been 12. I've been playing in orchestras and bands and things. It's a wonderful, wonderful place, right? They're all so helpful and friendly, you know, and that's it couldn't be better, really. The staff are all very good. They're tolerant of me, you know, which is, when you think about it, yeah, it's lovely. I mean, these beautiful lounges and places, you know, they've got an organ and they've got a piano. I'm a pianist, so what more could you want, you know? The only other thing I want is an audience to listen to me, you know. Ta-da, ta-da-da-dum-dum-dum, and things like that.
Oh, I'm Betty He.
And tell me what it's like staying here. What is it? What do you like about it? What, if anything, feels special about it? What do you enjoy most?
Absolutely everything. I mean it's better than being on my own, in my own house. Lonely, nothing to do. There's people here to talk to, lovely surroundings, plenty of activities, lots going on, nice company, and good weather.
Is there anything you wish you'd done differently with hindsight?
Done differently? No, I don't think so. I think, you know, there are many, many mistakes along the way that you just got to, as I say in Bucket, it could be a smack in the mouth, but you just pick yourself up, dress yourself down and keep going. But no, so I wouldn't do anything differently. I'm absolutely delighted to be where we are, etc., and still here, to be able to deliver the care that we do, and still looking at new opportunities. And, you know, here we are 30 years later, more and more opportunities are coming our way. It's just the question, can we do it? Do we want to do it? Do we have the staff to do it? You know, at 64 now, should I not be slowing down? I thought, no, you know, I'm just going to go on. It's to infinity and beyond here. I'm just going to keep going until whatever. We have passion. I have passion, and all the people working in the homes have passion to deliver good care, and it's humbling to go in on a daily basis to see her, and that's probably one of the things that keeps me going, seeing what we do to help other people enrich their lives on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people have a sort of conception of what a care home is. In the last 20 years, it's changed. It's now independent living in a care home setting. Our strapline is our family caring for yours. And I often say to staff, well, what we're doing is taking their mum or dad from their family into our family, and the only thing that should change for them is the postcode. The care we deliver, it's the same care they would deliver at home, but we can do it better than they can. The dining area here is there for the residents. You see the lunch menus on the table, but the thing is they can come in at any time. They don't have to have lunch at lunchtime as such. If they want it later on in the day, they can do it. If their relatives come in, we've got separate facilities here. One of the things that was very important to us that in these small wings, if they want toast, they can smell the toast. It's made from a toaster for them. It doesn't come in a trolley, a bit like a hospital. And the same as the coffee and the tea, it's made from a kettle in the morning, so they can hear that as well. Things that you would normally associate with living at home. We have leek and tatty soup as a starter. We also have sandwiches if somebody doesn't want this. Or we can have a soup and a sweet if that's what they prefer. And the main course is mince, steak mince, or vegetable lasagna, with roast potatoes and cabbage on the side as well. And as a pudding, it's toffee, apple crumble and cream, and that'll be down a storm, because I think most people have a bit of a sweet tooth, and you can just tell that's going to go. Everything's homemade on the premises on the day. Food is such an important part of their lives. It's the thing that is most talked about. It's the thing that the relatives talk about when they come in. What do you have for your lunch? Oh, the mince and tatties, or the lasagna, for example. Yeah, the vegetable lasagna is all made by hand, but have a look in the kitchen. It's not bought in, so it's something that's prepared for them, and that makes a big difference. It really does. To prepare the food daily is something that we pride ourselves in.
with that strapline then, our family caring for yours, am I right in thinking your mum is now being cared for?
Yes, she is. She
within
is
Parklands?
94, and it's quite it's surreal, actually, quite strange looking at it from the other side. So I have two brothers, so it's a very male environment, and it was difficult to come to the conclusion that our mother needed care. She lives independently and has done for quite some time. She was a fanatical bridge player, so her brain was very active. And she helped me with our dogs, etc., to babysit for that sort of thing, and the kids as well. Dogs first, kids second. So it was weird to come to a conclusion, to realise that she couldn't live on her own anymore. She needed help. And so now she's been diagnosed with senile dementia. We had to act, and fortunately we managed to get a place for her in Parklands in Buckie, where she is now, living very well. Good days and bad days, I'd have to say. She has not settled down as well as we anticipated, but she's now talking about going home now, which is good, which is going home to the care home. But she's still of sound mind, and she enjoys to get out. I mean, I took her out the other day, and I said, look, I was just passing, I was around at some of the other homes, and I just popped in for 5 minutes to say hello. And she said, have you got half an hour to take me out for a wee run? I thought, oh yeah, I can take you out, no problem at all, let's go. And she said, well, I have to go to the toilet first. I thought, that's fine. Then she turned around and said, now, going to the toilet doesn't include my half hour. That's not included in my half hour. And I thought, nope, fair enough. Yeah, we'll give you a half hour before we get back. So she's there, as they say in Buckie. So she's settled down well. And it's all about the people. It's how she's cared for. She's treated like a queen in the care home, as indeed all of our resident kings or queens. They are treated as very special people.
I've had very nice experience here with all of the staff, the nursing staff and the caring staff. That it's just that everybody, if you have a problem during the night or whenever, they run to your assistance immediately, and you couldn't ask for better.
Tell me a bit about yourself, Mike. Where are you from originally, and what did you do in life?
I was born in Queen Charlotte's Hospital in London, and 1938, and shortly after that, the war came along to upset everybody, and we were evacuated. I went to Norwich in Norfolk, and again we were evacuated because of the various places that were subject to bombing raids. Because that part of Britain was want to be bombed because there were so many airfields there, and that being one of my father's aircraft, the Vickers Wellington, and just behind you there, I had an oil painting made of the Wellington. And of course, the Spitfire that everybody knows.
And what did you do in life? What was your career?
When I left school, I went for about a year. I went to work for the Norwich Hospital Management Committee, and then when that year expired, I went to join the RAF, and that was 22 years of my life expended doing that, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And after the RAF, I joined Shell again, which I thoroughly enjoyed it. We lived for 32 years in Houghton, just up the road, and
we've enjoyed every single moment being here, haven't we?
Yes, it's such a lovely place.
Oh, it is. It's just absolutely wonderful. Everything's just, well, that's it. I've loved it, you've loved it.
Still do.
So do I.
What do you think your granddad would have made of this?
I think he'd be very proud, actually. Even now, it's funny, I even get emotional now, even thinking about them way back in 1984. Yeah, I think if you thought, my God, look what you've done now with when we started the conversations, the precious moments we had together, etc. When you think, the Parklands group were sown, the seeds were sown during those years, or during that time with him, etc. I think, yeah, he'd look down and say, wow, good on you. You're still delivering the care you gave me. And that's the key to the success.
Carecast is produced by Adventurous Audio.